Welcome back to The Rebel's Edge. Today we discuss whether the economic numbers and Walmart's outlook is enough to push Jay Powell over the edge and have to do a 50 basis point cut. Here's a hint, no. But it will be a 25 basis point cut, and it's 88% chance. That, stocks, a little bit of sports coming your way on The Rebel's Edge. Bang.
Baby.
Bang.
I don't even know. I lost track, John, how many of these we've done, but it's gotten to be quite a few, I would say.
It's approaching 600.
Wow.
So
all right.
I got tired of just writing them in, Pete. Believe it or not. It was hurting my wrist from writing in, erasing and writing them in each time. But maybe we'll go back to that too. I am Jon Najarian. He is Pete Najarian. And we were both lucky enough to be on Oliver Rennick's new show this week that he shoots live at the Chicago Board Option Exchange, now known as CBOE Global Markets. Mm-hmm. And how was that yesterday for you, Pete?
It was awesome. I'll tell you what, it was kind of hurried a little bit because, as you know, they're still getting, used to everything. But I got in just fine. And once we did, we had a lot of fun stuff to talk about, and bang, 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 and we were gone. So it was great. I like the way Oliver's working. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a fun show, folks. The very first episode got like 14,000 views right out of the gate. And then it kept building, of course, as they sent it out on socials and things. But it's a good show. We'll have links to it shortly. Let's break it down for him, Pete, about the macro. And I'm going to say its initial jobless claims, they were up. Higher by almost 10,000 more than the street expected. So jobless claims means people that are out of work, of course. Well, Jay Powell, hopefully you're listening, as well as listening to what Walmart said, and we'll cover that when we cover Walmart. But I think the pressure is mounting on the Fed chairman, Pete. What do you say?
I would say that he is starting to feel it too, because not just the words, but now all of a sudden you start maybe getting some numbers along the way as well. The one thing I'm going to talk about for macro, John, just real quick, is the U.S. existing home sales. They ticked up in July. So that's a good thing. Why do you suppose they did that? Well, it could be because of the fact that the 30-year mortgage rates are at 10-month lows right now at 6.58. So I think that's another thing that's positive right now, I think, for the markets, which is great. And by the way, Bill Pulte, one of those guys who's part of that whole thing, he's going to be on with Maria tomorrow. I'll give him a little plug, because I think that's worthwhile to dial in there and hear what he has to say about that whole market.
Yeah, well, and Bill's a friend of ours too, folks. Yep. So the fact that he is volunteering to serve, he's not doing it because he needs the money, folks. All of you guys know Pulte family, they've done pretty well, and they have pretty good insight into homes and people's, whether it's building a home, building apartments, whatever it might be. So yeah, Bill, keep up the good work, and we look forward to seeing you on Maria tomorrow. Yeah. All right, Pete, let's talk about futures, and I'm going to tend to more or less lean over towards the digital asset side of things yet again, because Bitcoin back down to 112,000. So that means it's about $12,000 lower than the high that it hit within the last 7 days. Does that mean people are dumping out? Some people are taking profits. Somebody that owned 40 billion in Bitcoin, Pete, took some profits as it was rising a little over a week ago. So I think this is mainly consolidation that we're witnessing in the digital asset space, though, not capitulation.
Well, while I'm looking at the VIX itself, John, today, it seems a little bit jittery. It's kind of been all over the map. It's 15.5. It gets up to almost 17 again, which we'd seen earlier in the week. It seems to want to be somewhere close to 16. I think that makes sense. The market's sort of been moving all around this morning. As a matter of fact, it was down significantly and then started to pick itself back up again. So there is some movement there. It's amazing just 10 days ago that we were in the 14s, John. Matter of fact, we closed at a 14.99. just 10 days ago. So it's interesting to see where we are. I think the movement that we are getting in the markets, though, I think it makes sense that we're a little bit above that 16 level, or at least close to it, because the movements that we are seeing across the markets is starting to get pretty interesting. A little bit more of the range is stretching, I would say, over the last couple of trading sessions.
All right. Well, folks, we're just going to remind you that the time is now to sign up for the virtual Rebel Boot Camp. Mm-hmm. Again, it's going to be Mark Lopresti, Pete Najarian, me, Grant Cardone, and in fact, we're doing it at Cardone's headquarters. We've got, I believe, 7 other speakers that are going to be there, folks. It's going to be fabulous. There's live trading on Friday, the 19th, and then an awful lot of education and so forth on Saturday, the 20th. And you can see all of it by buying a virtual pass. We cannot sell you another ticket because it is sold out, but we can get you there virtually. And one of the benefits there is you can watch it whenever you want. You don't have to just watch it live, although you're welcome to, of course, but we will record it and send it to you so you can see it as many times as you want. Really focus in on certain strategies from Bill Johnson or from Ryan Mastro or Pete, whatever it might be. So scan that QR code, sign up. It's less than a month away right now because here we are the 21st today, Pete, and it's the 19th and 20th of September is when we're doing this. So make sure you grab your pass, folks. It will be a great event. All right, let's hit a little bit of Newegg, Pete, because Newegg Commerce, what do? Well, they sell peripherals and all that kind of stuff. Do they make them? No, but they sell them. So think of them almost like a computer discount warehouse or maybe even Best Buy on the tech side, maybe, Pete, something like that. These guys were $86 2 days ago. Today, they're $50 plus, higher than that. Yesterday, up 23%. Today, up double digits again. And an awful lot of people must be getting caught in this one, Pete, because as it runs like this, you can imagine the shorts are sitting there thinking to themselves, well, it's going to pull back. Oh, make a quick buck here. And then they end up having to chase it higher, higher, higher. That seems to be a little bit of what's driving it here.
I would say that's part of it for sure, John. At 52-week highs, as you just mentioned, and the heavy volume in the trading that we are seeing there as well. I mean, it's pretty extraordinary, to be quite honest with you. I think there's one last thing that that is a piece to the puzzle of why people are finding this one as interesting as they do. First of all, the volume, as I mentioned, was absolutely off the chain. But how about this? Insider buying. 150,000 shares were bought so far in August. You know how many were bought in July? 1.2 million shares in July. So the insiders seem to be seeing something about their company that they really like, and if people are missing it, they're not gonna, because they're out there, and that's part of what I was reading today when I was trying to figure out, why is this thing going up as much as it is? I mean, this is a pretty extraordinary move. Heck of a lot of volume. The stock has made a pretty big jump, and I think people are starting to understand why this thing's making the kind of moves that it is. If the insiders are exactly that crazed for it, I think that's something that would draw me in there as well. But probably not at these levels. I mean, this has been an extraordinary run in just a few days. So I think it's something where, on a pullback, a significant pullback, I think it gets pretty damn interesting. But where it is right now, and I could be wrong, but this could continue to extend. But that's something I think worth looking at for sure.
Well, how about MINISO, Pete? It's a holding company that owns a whole bunch of toy brands and things like that. And not just in China, although that is where they have a majority of their stores, I think. Something like, gosh, what is it? I looked at it at 4,305 stores, Pete, in China alone as of June of this year. And they sell popular items that kids in particular want to buy. And the amazing thing is the stock is now doubled off the 52-week low, still not at a 52-week high. That's about $5, $6 higher than where it is right now. But this is a heck of a performance. And their earnings 31 cents versus 7 cents. That's really driving today's move.
Yep. Strong earnings, strong revenue. I mean, you combine that together, John, it sounds fantastic, and it is. The only negative of this, and it's not showing up today, was when I was looking at some of the different margins that they put up. It's great to have the revenue, and the revenue is up 23%. That's an awesome number. But they also had their margin EBITDA was down about 24%. So that was something that I was a little bit, that caught my eye. But the total store expansion, like you just mentioned, is absolutely outrageous. So it seems to me that they're probably doing the right things with that. I like what they did with their earnings. I like what they're doing with the revenue. Now that if they can tackle that with some of the margins that I was talking about, I think this is a stock that actually could maybe test those 52-week highs not too long from now. But, it's interesting. Year to date, John, it's down 5%. But over the last 52 weeks, it's up 52%. Gives you a little bit of an idea of how great things were. And now I think with the expansion, when that maybe slows down, maybe they can already starting to put more money into their pockets after that.
Right. Well, another one putting more money in their pockets, but not really bottom line, but big on sales is Walmart. Because Walmart, Pete, put up $177.5 billion in sales. That beat the estimate by about $1 billion, which is a pretty significant beat, but this is, the biggest retailer on earth. And I think what they've got going for them, Pete, is that people still go in there and are buying, but Walmart is apparently eating, or they were, a lot of the increased costs. Because if you see a revenue increase like that, and yet you miss on bottom line, it tells me that maybe they were doing exactly what Amazon was doing as far as not passing through all of the costs to the consumer. And if they eat some of that, obviously the bottom line number is not as big. And they missed 68 cents versus 74. That's a pretty big miss for them. And I bet almost all of that, Pete, is them holding the line on price and customers still coming in, though, and buying a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, John. I don't have much to add other than, their e-commerce sales were up 25% as well. I mean, this was a pretty substantially good quarter for them, except for what you pointed out with the earnings. And that's a big number, obviously. I would have thought that this thing would be a little bit closer to flat, John, just because they raised that guidance. And I thought that was important. Their net sales growth of 3 3/4 to 4 3/4. I look at all those numbers and all those look pretty good. But as you mentioned, I mean, when you look at those earnings, that was a significant miss. So I guess that's what's hanging over it. I would not be surprised for this to start to get a little bit of traction to the upside. It might not be today, probably won't be today, but over the next week or two, I would be a little bit surprised if Walmart didn't start to get back into the triple-digit numbers.
Well, I've got an insight, Pete, at least the way I look at it, the way you did for years past about Apple and services. And you kept telling the hosts of various shows, hey, look at the services revenue, it's just exploding. And they'd be, piss pass. They weren't really into it. And then a couple of years later, all they talk about is services.
Yeah.
Well, Walmart and Amazon both do a significant amount of advertising for other people. They're getting paid because if you have a product and you want to sell it on Amazon or on Walmart, you're going to be advertising, and or if you just like to get in front of their customers. And their advertising sales, Pete, were up 46%. How long before you and I start talking? Well, we just did, I guess, but the rest of the world follows us and starts talking about, man, these are big advertising numbers that Walmart and Amazon are putting up. We got to start addressing that. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I think you're spot on that whole thing, John. I tell you what, I look at Walmart and they didn't say they were going to be eating as much as it was that they did. So, that probably caught people a little off guard as well. And that, I think, obviously affected something with the earnings, but they're smart. they're going to figure out things. And with the advertising and everything else, John, when you looked at a lot of the numbers that they put up there, I mean, you know, Sam's Club was up 6%. I mean, everywhere I looked, it was a solid, you know, production from Walmart.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, not so solid for Coty, Coty, falling on the heels of the disaster that was Estee Lauder, EL, earlier in the week, Pete. Their shares have dropped significantly because Q4 numbers did not meet expectations. The company posted revenue of $1.25 billion. That was better than the market expected, $1.2 billion. But the adjusted loss on those sales was bigger than expected. And that's never a good thing.
Never a good thing. Year over year, the revenue declined by 8% as well, John, just to add on to what you were talking about there. And by the way, this is a company that when you look at the balance sheet, you kind of cringe a little bit because they got $4 billion in debt. They got minimal cash. Yes, the free cash flow is pretty solid at $400 million, but when you've got $4 billion in debt and your stock looks like that on a chart, not so great, right? I mean, this is not just a 2025. This is not just anything to do with Liberation Day and tariffs and all that. This started long before that. And you go back and you take a look at where this stock was and where it is now, pretty significant drop. So they've got to get something turned around, and they haven't been able to do it yet. Can they? Maybe. It just depends on if they do things the right way to be able to get that, John. I mean, that's a pretty substantial. We talked about the big miss earlier with MINISO, but how about this one? Actually, it wasn't with that one. It was with Newegg. No, it was MINISO. And I look at this and I'm like, wow, these guys missed. I mean, they looking for 2 cents and they lost 5 cents. That's a pretty dramatic drop as well. So they've got a lot of work cut out for them, I think, going forward.
Well, let's let the Jared run with a little sports here, Pete, because I had a couple that I thought you'd like. And one of your faves is back, Colin Cowart.
He's great.
From the Herd. And let's hear what the Herd had to say about professional quarterbacks.
The top 10 teams headed into this NFL season.
Herd hierarchy. Number 10.
Herd
Detroit,
hierarchy.
the division's better, lost their coordinators. I have Detroit at number 10.
Number 9.
Green Bay, I'm not worried about the Jordan Love left hand injury at all. I have them at 9.
Number 8.
The Rams, I'd have them 2 or 3, but the Matt Stafford injury is concerning.
Number 7.
The Commanders, I may have them higher. I don't like the Terry McLaurin vibe, but I still think they'll be a very viable, fun team to watch and a playoff team.
Number 6.
Seattle,
Totally agree so
early
far.
schedule is pretty easy for Sam Darnold,
I
who
like
I
the
do
Sam
believe
Darnold
is a
thing
better
there,
version of
Pete.
Geno Smith.
Number 5.
He's a guy who made the turn.
Kansas City,
He actually
they're
did
getting
make the
old.
turn. And
They're
I
not
don't
gonna
think
go
last year
11-0
was a
in
freak
one-score
show. I
game.
think
I have them at
he's
5.
going to be there
Number
again.
4.
Broncos, they didn't just add players, they added elite players. In the system of Sean Payton, I have Denver at number 4.
Number 3.
Speaking of Walmart,
Baltimore, number 1 total offense last season, top 10 scoring defense. They do everything well.
Number 2.
I'll put Buffalo at 2. I think the world's best football player is Josh Allen. I have Buffalo at 2.
Number 1.
Philadelphia, they GM well, they quarterback well, their line plays incredible. Saquon Barkley has just been jet fuel.
All
So there
true.
is my Herd hierarchy.
It's hard to
think,
argue
Pete?
any of that, right? I mean, how do you argue? I mean, most of everything he said, I'm spot on right there with him. I think it makes a lot of sense. Hey,
And their offensive line, Pete, that the way they just destroyed Kansas City in the Super Bowl, and their defense also smothering with those corners and defensive backs. All of them are hitters too.
Yeah.
So nobody likes playing Philly. Nobody. I mean, it used to be that way in Detroit as well, but they've had such injuries that that could be a place where maybe they need to pick up some of these defensive ends or edge rushers, Pete, to help out.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt about it, John. I totally agree with you. I mean, Philadelphia, they've done it all through the draft. Now, that's not totally true. Obviously, last year, they in the portal, they if you want to call it the portal, but in free agency,
The NFL portal.
It's it's where they were able to get this running back, right? I mean, that's a big deal. That was the heart and soul of the team last year. But I'll tell you what, John, they've drafted that defensive line, those linebackers. They've drafted that offensive line for the most part, not all of them, but yeah. So give Howie a big and a high five. I mean, he's done an amazing job as the general manager. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. All right, let's jump to a little college football, John. I'll throw out a couple of teams that in the Big Ten, and we might do this as an extension over the next couple of weeks or whatever. But I decided to go with the Big Ten because I thought I was looking at it and it was like, okay, who's most likely going to get into the college football playoff? Well, Ohio State, Oregon, who looks really, really good potentially, and then Penn State. So there's your three. But who's somebody on the sideline? Now, obviously, people would say, well, Michigan. Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of changes going on at Michigan. And so we don't really know. And it's sort of up in the air. Here's what I like. I like Illinois, who last year went 10-3. And I like Nebraska, even though they were 7-6, but they played a lot of tight games that they lost. They got blown out once or twice, but most of their games that they lost, they were tight games. I like their quarterback. I mean, I think they have an elite quarterback for college football. I think Illinois has an elite quarterback for college football, a guy that not too many people knew much about until last year, but Luke Altmaier. I mean, they got a great offensive line, great defensive line. And then you look over at Nebraska, they're bringing back those black shirts. You and I were just talking about black shirts yesterday, but you know, they've brought back a defense that I think could get pretty interesting. I think that head coach does a great job. So I put those two in as potential to maybe even get into the playoff, but certainly be more respected, I think, around the Big Ten this coming year. Do you like those two, or is there somebody else?
I do. I'd add one. Right. Indiana.
Yes,
and
I agree.
Indiana. Why? Because they've got a chip on their shoulder again. They had a chip and they played with it all year last year, and it worked in virtually every game but one. And that one was important, obviously, and they didn't move on because of that game. But Indiana, those kids have something to prove. The coach has something to prove because, like you said, Pete, it doesn't matter if you go 9-0 and then you play the big boys and you start dropping games. So he's got to win against some of the big boys this year, and they get a chance to play them. So Big Ten football is a whole different level. So much speed, obviously, in the SEC and even in the ACC, an awful lot of speed out there. And there are no slouches in the Big Ten, but they're definitely thumpers in the Big Ten. And so if Indiana can make that turn, I think they could be a playoff contender. Not saying, favored, but I'm saying just like you say with it, Illinois. And I would give Illinois the edge over them right now. But I think Indiana's going to be playing some tough football again this year.
And Bielema's record as a coach at Wisconsin, not as much at Arkansas, but okay at Arkansas. That was a tough one. And then he comes to what he's done at Illinois has just been spectacular. I mean, he's turned that into a power. So pretty interesting. And by the way, this is for Coach Rule down there in Nebraska, my Krusty's hat. Hey, how about this, John? There are three guys out there that let's just call them free agents because that's what they're trying to become, are free agents. But you've got three big names: Micah Parsons, Trey Hendrickson, and Terry McLaurin. Now, McLaurin is a great receiver. My question that I would like to throw out to you, because I'm trying to figure it out myself, who's the most important one that you really do need to have and want to have back? Micah Parsons is a great player. Everybody says he's intelligent beyond words. Football intelligence is great. He makes a hell of a lot of plays. We know that, but he wants a boatload of money, John. And I saw one trade that they tried to give the Cowboys and they declined it, but it was multiple first rounders and the following year, second rounder or something like that to try to pick up Parsons and so forth. And Trey Hendrickson is a guy that nobody really talks about much, Cincinnati Bengals, but all he does is sack quarterbacks. I mean, the guy is an unbelievable player who's probably the least known of these guys. But I look at McLaurin, I'm like, wow. that's the guy. When you're a quarterback, you kind of have a receiver that you know you can throw the ball up and that guy's going to come down with it, or he's at least going to get it to the ground, but it's not going to be an interception. And I think that was something that got developed last year with the, rookie quarterback who ends up being one of the best quarterbacks in the league last year. And they're looking for him again. He needs to have that receiver. So I'm going to say as great as Micah might be and as great as Trey is, I think McLaurin is probably the guy that the team needs the most coming back at Washington. What do you think? Is there something about Micah? I mean, he seems like a good guy, but he wants so much, John. But who doesn't, right? That's the name of the game.
And whatever he gets now will pale in comparison to what 2 years from now the contracts will be. He's 25 years old. So, I wouldn't be in a rush if I'm him to take less than what I think, because it's not just what are you worth, it's what they're willing to pay. And I think he is worth the money at 25 without the big injuries and things like that. But whatever he gets, if he gets 50 a year, Pete, which is a possibility, because he may turn down 40. Yeah. If I were him, I would really just opt for a couple-year contract, Pete, not a 4-year with an option or anything like that. Because again, the number is going to be much bigger in just a couple years. So why not collect a nice big paycheck now and then sign that 60 mil, 65 mil with 200 mil guaranteed up front or whatever it is. Are those contracts going to be there under the new deals that the NFL is cutting? I think they might be. So watch it. And Hendrickson, you're right, because he plays in Cincinnati, nobody knows him. I mean, more people know Myles Garrett playing in freaking Cleveland, and also great player. And he got paid. But Hendrickson, no, he's the NFL knows who he is, obviously, but fans and sponsors are not as big on him because he plays in this little outpost that few people see. When was the last time you saw a Cincy game, Pete?
Right. Yeah. Well, the only reason you do is because of Burrow, right? Well, it's actually Burrow and Hendrickson, but I mean, yeah, no, you're exactly right, John. It's rare. It really is.
Right.
And
it's Burrow and it's Chase. Yep. And, it's the offensive, equivalent of the San Diego Chargers under Air Coryell, practically, with what they can do on offense. So nobody really pays attention to them all that much on defense. But if they lose him, that's a big loss. It would be an interesting thing to see Dallas and Cincy swap, Pete. Micah go to Cincy and Hendrickson go down to Dallas. And there'd probably be draft picks involved as well, or at least other players. But I agree. I think the player that makes the biggest difference of those three is going to be the receiver for Washington. And without him, I think Washington is not nearly as good. The quarterback is not nearly as good without him.
Right. No, I agree with you. And you know what? We know Jerry Jones. We know who he is, and he's a guy who he'll get it done. But if he gets the right sort of a trade, I think he does it. I think
all day long.
Yep. And I think it wouldn't be so smart or so bad because he's already gotten one, shot at it. And he at least now what the floor is. And what would somebody give? Would they give 3 first-rounders? Would they give, what do they get? Is it a Herschel Walker trade? Maybe.
Yeah, it's going to be a Herschel Walker trade, no matter what. No matter if you give more than 2 first-rounders and players and second round, you're decimating your team going forward. What are you doing? Are you doing it just to win, once like the Rams did? Is that what you're doing? Because that seems to be what you'd be doing if you did that. You're sacrificing your future for that the same way the Vikings did. And by the way, that was, again, not only a dumb trade, but the Vikings had the best passing attack in the world, and then they get Herschel Walker. There aren't enough footballs. You know what I mean? There aren't enough footballs if you've got Herschel Walker and he needs, the ball 20 times a game, and you've got quarterbacks that are, just lighting it up with some of the best receivers in the game. So that crippled the Vikings. Whoever does this kind of trade with Jerry will cripple their team. That's my prediction.
Yep. I agree with you.
Well, make sure you check out the virtual pass, folks, because that virtual pass, September 19th and 20th. And like I said, you will get a copy of everything that goes on stage. You'll be able to watch it live. You'll be able to watch it again and again because you will have that virtual pass where we record it, send it out to you. By all means, scan that now and join us September 19th and 20th. And or if you're traveling, all the more reason to have it because, again, you can watch it at your leisure. And it's a real value versus what you'd have to pay to fly there and or drive there and put yourself up in a hotel and all the rest. So check it out. Virtual pass, great way to join us. With that said, Pete and I will be back Monday, but I forget what time, Pete.
1 p.m. Eastern time, baby.
1 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you then. Have a great one.